Hello, everyone. This is the East Coast Economic Update. I was too lazy to set up the camera because I've been working like a dog the last couple of days. So I'm doing this webcam edition. I'm sorry about the other video I did earlier, the one before. It was supposed to be about 5.5 minutes, but it ended up being a minute and 27 seconds, and then I decided that it consolidated what I wanted to say into what I wanted to say. So, anyway. Couple things. This is the East Coast Economic Update for September the 17th, 2009. Some things you'd like to know. Maybe I might entitle this 1 year later, the banks are bailed out, but the individual taxpayer is screwed. I'm going to list in my info box a very interesting radio show that I was listening to on Tuesday night called On Point. And it's always good I try to listen to the far right and the far left, and I usually get something in the middle. I usually start to listen to whatever side is in power. Since the Democrats hold Congress and the White House, I've been listening to NPR more, just to get an idea of what they're thinking. To give you the brief on this audio podcast, which I encourage you to listen to, and if you can subscribe to it, I would continue to listen to it. It's very interesting. They always have people on the far end of the spectrum, and it's interesting to see what our president is doing and our Congress and everybody else setting up. Interesting thing. I just want to point out two things before I go into that podcast question or that podcast issue. First thing is that housing sales went up extremely. If you look at the article I have here in the box from Bloomberg, it touts the amazing possibilities of recovery, and then two paragraphs down points out that the majority of these permits that were set up were for homes, for multifamily homes, apartment buildings, which fluctuates up and down radically. Now, if you extract that multifamily unit out, actually the housing market is down by 4%. So it's interesting how everybody is jumping up and down and saying, woohoo, here's a recovery, here's some more green shoots. And also in other news, going back to the podcast, you have the far left discussing the fact that the new normal for the economy is truly a jobless recovery. In other words, the very, very rich are going to get whatever they need, and the very, very poor are going to have to suck it up. The gentleman, or the number of gentlemen and a lady who were discussing in this article, were talking about how people are going to have to settle and do things like what the Dutch are doing presently, which has been going on since the last jobless recovery here, which was saved. The jobless recovery that we went through in '93, that I experienced right out of college, was muted by the tech bubble. Since we're out of bubbles, they're discussing this in all earnest, saying that it's totally normal and acceptable that somebody with a master's degree and education should be considering possibly working, and they use the example of working in a 7-Eleven or a convenience store, or driving a cab. Also, they were talking about this Dutch practice, which is job sharing. Now, when you have people who on average owe somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000 in revolving credit card debt, or revolving debt in general, you're not going to get these people out of that debt if they're working a convenience store part-time. So I'm letting you listen to this because I want you to get a clear understanding. These are policymakers. These are people who are setting the reality, to quote George Soros, of this country for the next 8 to 12 years, maybe longer. They are talking. They did speak. The panel did discuss the aspects of probably bringing back blue collar work, and kind of hinted at protectionism, or isolationism, as I refer to it as, which is once again a qualifier that this is what's going to happen. Also, in other news, the gold has now shot up to about $1,017. And my dogs are barking at the neighbor's dog. And this brings me to remind everyone that Jörn, the German guy as I refer to him, said around 1025, 1050, gold will go hyperbolic. Now the dollar closed today. I apologize for the dogs barking. Guys, cut it out. The dollar closed today just shy of 75 bips, or 75 cents as I use the term. 70 cents. If it gets below 70 cents, the dollar will go completely collapse. Whenever you see the dollar going down and the market going up, it's a false rally. And as I said in my the two previous videos before the last one, we're also entering into the end of the sabbatical age. So for those of you who believe that more than just physicality and mathematics affects what goes on in the universe, and I just want to point out to you, even though that the Jewish New Year begins sundown Friday night, the 18th, the first sliver of the moon does officially appear over Israel midday through the 20th, which would be this Sunday. That would put it, I believe, and I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, would put it around 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening, New York time. So that would put it right in the middle of the opening markets of the Asian markets. Don't forget, next week also, the 28th, which is Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement and the Day of Judgment, will be the first offering of the Chinese bonds against their yuan. Now, just to remind you, whenever you start to sell bonds out of your country, it is a sign of imperialism. It's a sign. They usually use those monies in that coffers to develop armies and weaponry, primarily. That is historical, of course. I mean, I'm sure you could use the money for whatever you want, but it does lend itself to that type of use. So just want to leave you with those thoughts. For anyone else, I just want to let you know that the newsletter is progressing and it will be released on I believe, October the 9th or October the 11th. If anyone would like to get on that newsletter, I just want to remind you to just PM me your personal email. It's primarily a spiritual and also more of a religious, but there are twinges of economic stuff. I've written a few things. Excuse me. And if you're interested, let me know, and you can. I'll have you subscribe to it. I'll subscribe you to it, and if you don't care for it, you just email me and you can unsubscribe. So it's free. I'm only doing it for the same reason why I do these videos, because I believe in opening dialogue with people. Also, for the second time, this is for you, CV1122. YouTube offered me YouTube partner share for one video, that last video that I just did. And YouTube, if you're watching, this is my response to your request to be partners with me. I will, for religious reasons, I won't do it because I don't believe making a profit off of something that I'm sharing with people, and I do it out of love, not out of money. But primarily, I don't trust you. I don't trust Google. You're a venue, you're a process, but I will not, in any face or form, ingratiate you and profit you ever. So I want to leave that thought. All right, guys. Peace.